What is going on, everyone? Welcome to the J&J Power Hour. You're getting this early because we got a lot to get into. We ain't doing formal nothing today. We're diving into everything that's going on because obviously there's a lot going on in the wrestling world with two individuals. I don't really think there's a very easy way to go into this episode, so I'm just going to skip all the bullshit, skip all the how are yous, and I think we just need to just tackle this one because I think we're going to be here for a little bit talking about this because there's a lot of things to unwrap. It's been a wild, just over about 24 hours at time of recording. Probably by the time you're hearing this, a little bit longer than 24 hours. And just a disclaimer: this whole story could change by even in the few hours in between recording and releasing this. So I'm trying to do my best to get this out onto my YouTube and stuff like that to get thoughts out. But yeah, there's really no way to kind of ease our way into this situation, JPJ. So I think we're just going to have to dive in. But
yeah.
So just to catch everyone up, we've got both the Fightful Select and the WWE.com statement. Well, JPJ's got that up on his computer or on his phone or whatever, so we can reference that if we need to and stuff like that. But so, I guess I'll just kind of bring everyone up to speed on what's happened. So, at some point yesterday, during Raw, before Raw, we don't know the whole story, but it was just.
Getting a visitor.
Oh, we got Lou here. Hello, Lou.
Yeah, Lou's like, I gotta hear this.
Yeah,
I gotta hear this
shit. So much tea. It's at some point during Raw or before Raw or something, both Sasha Banks and Naomi had reportedly walked out on WWE for XYZ of reason. Obviously, the story's unraveled a lot since first then, but WWE openly on air said that Naomi and Sasha had both walked. There was a six-pack challenge advertised for the main event of Raw. It was Sasha, Naomi, Doudrop, Nikki ASH, Becky, and Asuka. The winner would fight Bianca Belair at Hell in a Cell. First off the bat, before the walkout, before anything else, it is kind of weird that the tag team champions and two SmackDown superstars, I may add, are in the opportunity for a Raw Women's title match. So take away everything else, JPJ, and just look at the six-pack challenge. It is a little odd.
Yeah, and they do this all the time. Like later on in the night,
it's not out of the ordinary, but it's
we
odd.
saw Los Lotharios, who are a SmackDown tag team, on Raw with the Raw header. Like it was like, okay, cool. So, and again, I think as we start to dive into this was part of the issue because some of the reports are saying that Naomi and Sasha were very upset that they were going to use the tag team championships as fodder for bigger stories.
Which they do all the time.
How many times recently in the last year and a half did all of a sudden the main two people feuding for the main belts become tag team champions?
Or the
Charlotte
tag team,
and Asuka. There's other ones I'm going to drop. That's
like
the one that
they always do this thing where it's like they win the tag team titles, they get a bit of steam, and then they go, "Oh, you're going to go for the Raw Women's title now. Or you're going to go for the SmackDown win." It's so odd how they always do that. So some people. Listen, there's no real way to dive. I don't know how to ease our way into this situation other than just saying it. Jesus Christ, he's worse than Giddy.
Dove right up in here.
It's Giddy's right down here. So she's attacking me. Okay, whatever. But there's just so much
feisty too. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, there's something in the air. There's no real way to dive into this issue. The six-pack challenge was announced, and then all of a sudden it was Becky and Asuka after a pre-tape with Becky and Adam Pearce. Irrelevant situation. But they went on to do their thing and it was fine. And probably creatively how it should have been from the start anyway. Because now it's just going to be Asuka did the Miss gimmick and it's just going to be Becky, Asuka, and Bianca, which is what it should have been from the very beginning. But anyway, they walked out, quote unquote, which again, I'm saying everything with quote because we don't know what's true. We don't know what's not true. We just know what we think we know. But they walked out and WWE put out this statement. I want to start with the statement because WWE looked like, to me, they tried to get ahead of the story. So they go, well, we said this first before all of the other stories come out. And WWE don't typically do that. We've had Tony Storm walk out recently, Jeff Hardy. We've had walkouts in the past and WWE they don't do anything like this. They don't say anything. They just sweep it under the rug. They release talent all the time, and they don't even announce releases of talent anymore. It's just always, it's just swept under the rug. But for some reason, with this one, they've decided, well, let's release a statement. By the way, that statement was hella passive aggressive, like passive aggressive. Like they wrote the words "even though" in there. I was like, fuck up. Like it's like so. I always will say stand with wrestlers over stand with a wrestling company. But do you want to read maybe the statement out loud so we can unpack the statement?
And I think part of the reason why they did release it is because they knew that this particular story was gonna gain traction. And like today, E! News over here, E! News is reporting it, like national or United nationwide.
Well, Sasha Banks,
are
by the
talking
way,
about this because she's
Sasha Banks is starting. We'll talk about Naomi in a second, but just from a star value, Sasha Banks to a lot of people is not a wrestler. She's in Star Wars.
Yeah.
So she is,
and she's going to become a movie star.
WWE needs Sasha Banks and Naomi, for that matter, way more than Sasha and Naomi need WWE. They do not need WWE in the slightest. No. Sasha Banks she's on every single YouTube, like big YouTube talk show.
Kevin Hart had a show that was released today.
The ice bucket thing.
This is Tuesday. This is Tuesday in the US, but it was released today. And he specifically asked, like he requested that she be a part. She's on an episode.
She's on Good Mythical Morning. She's on Hot Ones. She's on, like all the First We Feast stuff. She's always all over it. She is the WWE talent that goes everywhere. She's on Glamour, and she's on
they went to the Grammys. Her and Bianca Belair went to the Grammys.
And the ESPYs and like she is bigger than WWE at this point. She is a true mainstream crossover that's only going to get bigger. And she's so young. Sasha's got a whole line. So I think all of those platforms are going on. And this is no disrespect to Naomi. We're going to talk about Naomi because I have a lot to unpack on that too, because I'm pissed off with that situation as well. But Sasha Banks has name value. Mercedes has name value. She is, again, WWE need those two way more than those two need WWE. Naomi has been in this company for over 10 years, has not ever got her flowers, by the way, for being respected enough as a talent, respected enough as a star. Also, WWE haven't ever capitalized on the actual star that Naomi could have been for years and years and years. Look at all the times Naomi got mainstream publicity from celebrities, and WWE did jack fucking shit with Naomi. So if she was somewhere else, if AEW was a thing or whatever, Naomi would be in a way bigger spot than what she is right now. And again, we're going to unpack that in a minute. But I'd like you to read the statement from WWE because it's bogus.
They said, when Sasha Banks and Naomi arrived at the arena this afternoon, they were informed of their participation in the main event of tonight's Monday Night Raw. During the broadcast, they walked into WWE Head of Talent Relation John Laurinaitis' office with their suitcases in hand, placed their tag team championship belts on his desk, and walked out. They claim they weren't respected enough as tag team champions, and even though they had 8 hours to rehearse and construct their match, they claim they were uncomfortable in the ring with two of their opponents, even though they'd had matches with those individuals in the past with no consequence. Monday Night Raw is a scripted live TV show whose characters are expected to perform the requirements of their contract. We regret we were unable to deliver as advertised tonight's main event.
Okay, first and foremost, WWE, the amount of times that you just forget matches that are advertised, so don't even start with that. The even though thing pissed. I'm like, it's like even.
They get it twice. So, there's two different even those.
That's so condescending and so everything. But let's talk about that statement. Again, getting ahead of the curve. They're trying to get their story out, so it's the first one out to the public. So people are like, they suck. They had all this time and blah 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 blah.
I think this is even bigger than that to me. Because what I think, there's a line in here where they say they claim they were uncomfortable in the ring with two of their opponents, even though they had matches with those individuals.
No.
Okay, so again, we don't know everything yet. We don't even know nearly.
No, we don't.
Everything. So I'm not going to jump to the end conclusion of all, but I read that, and to me, and this is because of WWE and the shit that they pull and everything that we know and probably everything that we don't know about Vince McMahon, I thought immediately, I was like, oh, they're trying to get
hate
the talent to not like Naomi and Sasha so they can justify eventually getting rid of them. Like they're going to make them be the bad guys, not only to the public, which again, there's underlying things here, which we'll dive into that make it different. But when Stone Cold walked out in 2002, the commentators and Vince and the other wrestlers all on that Raw were saying, oh, he took his ball, and like they gave him shit too.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll dive into it. I just think this one, there's more stuff that comes with it in this particular
I just want to get this bit out of the way. They're directing their hate onto Corey Graves, and that shouldn't be at Corey Graves. He was fed that line.
Yeah, he's doing his job. If he doesn't say that, his boss is yelling at him to say the line. If you don't say the line, guess what's going to happen to you? Like, he's doing his job.
Vince McMahon direct line. I don't care what anyone. People always say, like, all the people around Vince, and yes, to a certain degree, it is all the people around Vince McMahon. However, Vince McMahon still says what goes on every single aspect of that company. So if Vince McMahon says you have to do something, you either do it or you face consequences or you walk. And some people, hey, at the end of the day, we got to realize that all of these people that work for, quote, that's the main word here. That's the key word, is work for WWE. Corey Graves was said that line in his headphones, in his headset. He has to say that, especially when you're going at this pace. You're going at this pace. I think people are misdirecting their anger at Corey. Carmella defended him and people got on Carmella because, you know, her husband and stuff, but she's right. He's just being fed a line that he's doing his job. I don't think Corey Graves, of all people, actually thinks that. Hey, I could be wrong. Maybe Corey just said that. We don't know, but I don't think that's the case. So I just wanted to get that bit out of the way so we don't dwell on that too much. But that whole statement is just so...
That part of it bothered me. I was like...
The two people... Okay, so first and foremost, Asuka and Becky are two of the most respected talents in the company. Sasha and Naomi, for that matter, have both worked with Asuka and Becky multiple times. Sasha and Becky have always been, from my understanding, pretty solid at, you know, we've never heard of any kind of, you know, heat between Sasha and Becky, and I don't think there is. And Nikki and Doudrop are very, very, you've never heard a bad word said about their in-ring work.
Yeah.
And they've all worked together before.
All four of those women they've all worked together before, first and foremost. And second of all,
they worked with them last week, Doudrop and Nikki.
All four of those women have been professional wrestlers for like 15 years.
Collectively, they've been professional wrestlers
every single one of them
longer than we've been alive.
For a very long time. They know what they're doing.
Yes.
This is where I want to bring in the Fightful Select report.
Oh, yeah, go into that. There's a lot to unpack.
So it says, it says, first of all, in the match, Naomi was scheduled to win, apparently.
And that's where a lot of the hate was for Sasha at the beginning, was like, oh, she's not wanting to put her friend over. I'm like, calm down. For I don't think any of these talent really have that much power to be like, I'm not fucking taking the fall, for one. And for two, I just don't get that sentiment of like, why would that isn't the issue here. The issue is creatively, what fucking sense does it make? There was a whole thing of someone put up on Twitter of like, you know, in February, they were approached to be a tag team. They were hesitant because of WWE's track records with tag teams, especially in the women's division. So they finally were just like, yeah, okay, let's do it. Let's go all in. They got that team over. They got merch. That team was having a lot of steam coming out of WrestleMania. Didn't mean to rhyme, but Naomi and Sasha, because of the sheer fucking star power that those two have, and they made it work. Brilliant tag team wrestling, by the way, in it, double teams and all of this stuff that we don't see a lot of in WWE. They were doing all that. They had nobody to fucking work with because WWE...
because they fired all their tag teams. They just break them up or fire them.
Break them up. So they were making pretty much the best out of a pretty poor situation in the beginning. But then they finally put all this stock into it, and then they looks like they're going to work a program with Nikki and Doudrop. Okay, they've got something here. They weren't on the pay-per-view. They want to be on the pay-per-view. They want to be featured, as any talent should. And then they turn around and go, well, actually, you're not going to defend your championships at the pay-per-view. In fact, your championships are not even going to be the focal point of your next story, because Naomi, you're going to work with Bianca, and there was reports of maybe Sasha working with Ronda.
Going with Ronda.
And... Again, I don't think it's a problem of working with any of those talent. I think the problem is they're going, now hold on. You told us that you want us to be a team. You told us that we should put some focus into this. So we're going to get over, which they did. They got merch. They're doing all these things. They're having great matches, by the way, as a tag team. And then they go, never mind. You're going to do these two separate things, and then maybe at Money in the Bank, then you can have a program there. Which they probably wouldn't, because they'll probably be plucked out of that to be put in Money in the Bank, to be completely honest, because they rely on those people to keep those matches gelling, because, again, they've plucked their roster so badly that they don't have workers. You have to have workers to keep the glue, and Sasha Banks is one of their best talent, if not the very best talent they have. Naomi, she's always going to provide some kind of cool spot that you need in ladder matches, so they'll probably, again, I'm looking very far ahead, but the thing here is not working with Ronda or working with Bianca Belair. I would love to see Naomi and Bianca Belair.
Of course, yeah, that'd be amazing.
And Sasha and Ronda have proved that they can definitely go. But the problem is that A, they're putting in programs that makes the tag team titles look bad because they're both going to lose. Yeah. And wins and losses do matter, not to be a Cody Rhodes mark, but it does matter sometimes, especially when you're a champion. But they put all this effort and they put all this time and they put all this energy into this tag team, and then WWE just go, well, never mind. And last week on Raw, it looked like they were setting up Becky, Asuka, and Bianca, but then Naomi's just going to win this week. That makes no sense. So this, I'm just saying from my perspective and my opinion, which means nothing, that this is not an issue of Naomi winning, or this is not an issue of who they're working with, or this is not an issue of just having bad attitudes or anything like that. It's purely, you made us put all this energy into a tag team that we were reluctant to do. Now we're rolling, and now we want to do stuff, and we pitched to work with Doudrop and Nikki. We've done all this other stuff with Shayna and Natty, and now you're just like, no. It's a creative issue, which is
100%.
And from the times that the women's tag team titles were conceived in WWE to right now, they've never been treated with any kind of love or any kind of care. It has just been thrown together of, well, these two have nothing else to do. Let's put them together for a month and then we'll just break them up because we have nothing. We can't think of constructive stories that actually progress for longer than a few months outside of a couple of things in WWE because we're fucking stupid, basically. So finally, talent have said, well, if you're not going to book us correctly, you're not going to treat us with respect as tag team champions, deuces.
Yeah, we're going to go.
And
see you later.
This is where I put up a tweet today. Probably by the time you're hearing this, it will still be today. It might be yesterday, but I put up a tweet of like, everyone's talking about Sasha Banks. She's so ballsy. She's so gutsy. She's, oh my God, so brave. And absolutely 1000% yes. But why is Naomi being left out? A lot of people just like, well, Naomi was just by her side. No, I think Naomi's been there long enough. And we know from, when have you ever heard of a report of Naomi being difficult or Naomi having a bad attitude? She has always been polite, humbled, and just, I'll do whatever she's always been plucked out of things and just thrown around and like, this will do. Oh, we need a program for someone for a month. Naomi will be fine because she's over all the time. It's like, Naomi is also a grown-ass woman who's been there for long enough.
She makes her own decisions.
She doesn't just stand by Sasha and go, oh, well, you're doing it, so I better. She could have easily just been like, well, I don't agree with you, Sasha, so I'm staying. You do you, but I'm doing my thing. I'm going to go for the
I don't think she would have
title.
prevented Sasha from doing it, but if she didn't want to, if she didn't agree with the sentiment or feel, like, hey, I feel the same here, she's not going to do it. Why would she jeopardize her stuff just to do it? You know what I mean? Like she's her own person. She can make that. That's the thing about it for me is like, and you said it right there, like you've never heard Naomi be this like that. Like Sasha has a history, or at least she's been very open. Like if she doesn't like what's going on, she stands up for herself as she should. Yeah. Everyone should.
Because she's someone,
if you feel
also,
like,
she's someone that's earned that right.
Yeah, 100%. She's a star. In my opinion, right now, she's their most crossover star in the company, period.
She's a bigger crossover star than Roman Reigns, and I don't care what anyone
100%.
says.
And like it, again, you can jump to speculation all you want, but like if this were to lead to a release of both Naomi and Sasha Banks, I could easily see Sasha Banks going like, all right, I think I'm going to chill on wrestling for a bit. I'm going to go to Hollywood.
And I see Naomi doing the same thing. I see Naomi
could do it
probably, too. I would assume Naomi would want to have a family. She's always said that she wanted to. Sasha might want to have a family.
Maybe.
This is a perfect opportunity to do so, to say, well, I can pluck myself out for a little while. Not that.
What do you think? They're not going to be begging to give her millions of dollars in 5 to 8 years to come back at a WrestleMania and fight some? Of course they will. Both of them.
Sasha, please, Naomi, please come back. We didn't realize what we did. We were wrong to be petty. That's what they're going to be like. But also, you have to believe that no matter what they say, whether they're going to get released or leave wrestling, there's going to be other wrestling companies in the world that go,
100%.
Hey, Mercedes, hey, Trin, you want some dollars? Because at the end of the day, money is what they're there for. They love wrestling, sure, but money talks. And Sasha's always been very open about the fact that she loves Japan. Sasha Banks and Stardom? I know I'm just speculating. But Naomi, but they could be... It's going to be very interesting to see what happens in the next day, 2 days, 3 days, to see where this...
I think there'll be a lot to this story. There's going to be a lot that happens.
Wait till they say something.
Yeah, and they might. It seems, and look, if you want to dive into, so in that statement,
the WWE one,
and the WWE one, there's so much information in there that they could have just left out and just said, hey, this is what happened. They were they walked in, they left. They were not creatively satisfied with what was happening, blah, 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 blah. But the fact that they added,
even though they had 8 hours to rehearse.
What does that mean? What does that mean?
You do
They're
this
rehearsing?
to the
No,
script,
they got other shit to do. They have lives.
You rip up the script,
what
so where's
mean?
your rehearsals? Because you say that you're rewriting Raw 5 minutes before the show airs. So when do these talent actually have time to rehearse a match? Tell me that.
It just wouldn't shock me. It wouldn't shock me because, all right, so the Fightful Select one says, based on WWE's statement, it appeared that Naomi and Sasha Banks felt uncomfortable or unsafe working with 2 of the 4 women, which hadn't made it back to those talent themselves until the statement was issued.
Don't believe a word of that, by the way.
To the contrary, we were told that the issue was about the creative surrounding the tag team championships and those being de-emphasized in the following weeks with no laid out follow-up after Hell in a Cell. Sasha Banks and Naomi have been vocal about developing more stories within the tag team division.
As they should.
Yeah. And I just feel like, this just, I don't know. It boggles my mind. It boggles my mind. Like Sasha has left before and came back because she was creatively unhappy.
Yep.
Like you have these 2 women who are both former world champions, 2 of the most over people you have in the company. They own titles in your company. How can you not focus on their creative?
All right.
Like how do you look at them and how do you just go, yeah, whatever. It doesn't matter. I don't know.
I'm going to get into this issue, which I can't really say too much on, just purely because I can't experience exactly, but there is an underlying race issue here that has really just been ugly to watch on the internet, of people being racist towards them, and it's 2 black women in this situation, and I'm not saying this has happened and they've done the statement because of like a racist thing. I'm not saying that, but the things surrounding all these issues and people's just disgusting opinions on race and questioning why it's racist. I'm like, but there is an underlying race issue here because they're being treated poorer than... Look at the situation last year with Charlotte and Becky. Was there a fucking statement on them being unprofessional on television, by the way? Whether Sasha and Naomi were unprofessional or not, there was no statement on Charlotte and Becky being unprofessional in the middle of a fucking ring. There was no statement on their supposed argument they had in the back, where Becky confirmed that on Broken Skull, saying there was an argument. Was there ever a statement on that? Nope. What about when CM Punk walked out? There was never a statement on him walking out. We just had to guess.
Yeah,
Stone Cold was a little different. Like
Stone Cold was on a different level of star.
They openly buried Stone Cold.
They buried him on Raw,
which they did.
He took his ball and went home, which
Sasha
they did to them last night, which we can dive into too. I know we talked about like how not to blame Corey there, which
not Corey's fault. It's Vince
but that
McMahon's
just seemed
fault.
The whole. And again, with what we know from Vince, it's not a shock, but
he's a petty.
It just seems so
being.
petty.
He's
I was just gonna say it just seems so petty.
He's running a former $1 billion corporation. You can't do that shit. If you're running a dinky dink little, run, okay, whatever. Like you aren't like Vince McMahon has an aura about him, but you're doing that to the world. It's a global. There's not many companies in the world that are truly global. They're an internationally known company, and they're writing things like "even though," and they're being so condescending in a statement that they shouldn't release. They should have been like, "Let's work this out like adults.
Let's work this out.
No matter who's in the wrong.
Yeah,
let's work
like
this
put
out."
it this way. Yeah, like if I got in a disagreement with my boss at my shoot job, I'm not writing an email to all my to the whole district saying,
you're not putting it on the fucking front of the store.
No, I'm not putting a sign on the menu that says, "Hey,
even though JPJ had 8 hours
to do this." No. I'm sending an email, or I'm calling my boss and I'm having a conversation with my boss.
Because they're adults.
Yeah, because you're adults. And apparently a conversation here did happen.
Multiple.
And according to the reports, Vince was stubborn and Sasha was stubborn. And that's how it ended. And then it ended with them going, "Well, all right, well, we're leaving." And that's just kind of, yeah.
I don't understand how anybody in their right mind can be defending WWE in this point. I don't understand it. And I'm not one to ever say, like, you can't have an opinion or anything like that, whatever. But also, like, this is one time where I say it's blatantly obvious that WWE are in the wrong. And I'm not saying that Sasha and Naomi did everything right. They probably did something wrong in the situation as well.
Yeah, and look, if they have a contract, like, look, I'm not going to sit here and if they walked out like that.
It's a breach of contract.
It's a breach of contract.
100%.
You can argue and you can say, well, that's the right thing, the wrong thing to do, whatever.
By legal means, it is a breach of contract.
By legal means, it was the wrong thing to do, but
sometimes you got to do the wrong thing to make it right. Sometimes you got to
stand up for yourself. People go on strikes all the time.
Yeah.
In Massachusetts, there was just a whole school district of teachers that went on strike.
There's lots of strikes that happen every single day in every single field, and this is no different.
Unionization, strikes, all these things. That is what was last night. They didn't leave because they left because they felt like you don't care about us as performers. You don't give us any effort when it comes to how we look out there. You don't care. We're busting our asses trying to make this thing work, and you don't give a single shit.
And I don't
think we're leaving because we're done caring.
And I don't think people realize how close someone like Sasha Banks or Naomi are to going, well, I don't really need wrestling.
I don't need to be here. Sasha, and I think Naomi to an extent, but like Sasha, I'm almost confident she doesn't even need wrestling anymore.
No, Hollywood's knocking on her door. She's been in a Disney Plus show. She's been in the Star Wars franchise. She's on all of these things.
I do think
she has a marketable look, by the way. Sasha
100%,
Banks
and so does Naomi. I think Naomi
yeah.
could work in that realm too, but Sasha is already kind of more proven in that she's already in there.
They're knocking
You're
on
in Star
her door.
Wars, for fuck's sake. You're in Star Wars.
And you got to think that she's going to be in other. People have seen her now, and that come from a Hot Ones appearance. That's how that opportunity came about. Sasha talked about it so many times. But there was a clip going around. I shared it on Twitter. I know you liked it, of Sasha Banks on the Broken Skull sessions.
Oh, yeah.
And it was like 40 seconds long. I'm paraphrasing like fucking crazy, so don't come at me. But she basically said there was a time in wrestling and in WWE when I was just happy to have my hot dog, happy to have my slice of pizza. Like, thank you for signing me. I'm so grateful. But there comes a point where I'm grateful and I'm all of those things, but I also know my place and I eat steak and I eat vegetables just like Vince McMahon. I do all these things. In her eyes, she goes, where I see myself, I'm as big as Vince McMahon.
I'm on his level.
There is 100%. People always take this as you're cocky, you're all these things, you're so up yourself. No, you know your worth. You have to know your worth as a human being, no matter if you're a big star or a tiny little fish. You have to know your worth. You know your worth, JPJ. I know my worth. And there has to be a time. You have to find the line between confidence and just being an egomaniac. But I think Sasha, people hate successful people. People hate it because they're jealous of people in that role. Sasha Banks is a proven success of a world in wrestling and outside of wrestling. She knows what she's worth, and she knows when she knows when her I'm sure she knows what battles to fight and what battles not to fight. And this is a hill to die on. because she wants, at the end of the day, she loves professional wrestling and she's always going to be a wrestler, but she wants better for not just herself, and herself too, but she wants better for all of the women. She wants better
for the whole thing.
She's always said that.
This, I think at the end of the day, and it's in the Fightful Select report, is they were upset that they weren't taking the tag team championship seriously. Yeah. They wanted the tag team championship, and more importantly, the women's tag team division to matter more. That's it. They just want to be in meaningful matches, meaningful stories, defending the titles. That is it. That you have 8 hours of television a week. It shouldn't be that hard. It shouldn't be that hard, except you don't fucking care. So at what point, as a worker, am I just going to work every day? And if I know you don't give a shit about me, why the fuck do I care about you?
100%.
That's it. Doesn't matter if you're a professional wrestler, a fucking actor, you work at a coffee shop, you work at a supermarket. It doesn't matter. If your job doesn't care about you, at some point, you need to stand up for yourself. Period.
You have to know when to stand up for yourself and when to go, okay, this isn't worth it. This is a time where it's worth it for both Naomi and Sasha. As human beings, it's time to start. WWE need a kick up the fucking dick, and it doesn't happen through us. We don't create changes as much as WWE likes to say. Fans
it's just been going on for 20. Stone Cold walked out 20 years ago for the same shit.
It doesn't
creative.
It doesn't change. We don't change WWE. We don't change as much as we like to think, or they like to think that we change. That's just all smoke and mirrors. What comes from change is when talent rally together, because without talent, there's no show. And there's always going to be talent that will be like, I'm just here for the ride, whatever, I'm fine. But there's talent that have proven themselves, like Sasha and Naomi, who know their worth in the company and know how much the company needs them, that go, creatively, this isn't satisfying. Creatively, this isn't fucking working. And creatively, you need to do a better job. And that's, I think that's all of our issue with WWE at the core, is creative. They're creatively pretty fucking bad outside of caring about one or two stories. They're like, well, whatever. Yeah. This is the same. Imagine, okay, let's play a little fantasy here. There's all this negativity surrounding it. Maybe in the minority, there's a lot more of us supporting Sasha, but there's always those people like, who gives a shit? It's just two women. It's just two black people, as people like to say on the internet. Okay, let's pluck out someone else. What about if this was Edge? Okay, for example, but if this was Edge, everyone would be like, Edge is one of the greatest of all time. Stand your ground, dude. You're such a strong guy. You tell them who's boss. I don't think there would be one person, well, not one, but you know what I mean. There wouldn't be that many people saying, oh, Edge is in the wrong. Edge is one of the great. And this is not hate on Edge. We both love Edge. But do you understand where I'm coming from?
Yeah.
Because it would be a completely different situation. They would not be putting out a statement about Edge.
No. Look, dude, the guy who they had a countdown for on Raw last night left in 2016 for the same fucking reason. And guess what? He left and he did it his way. And now he's back and they're treating him with fucking respect.
They need to realize what they have in those two.
Yeah. Because they don't.
They need to realize what they have with a lot of their talent.
They need to realize what they have with all of their talent.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
All of it. There are people that they don't even use still that
could be thought Sasha was a pretty protected talent, by the way, but obviously fucking not.
Well, you know, yeah. I mean, her and yeah, I don't know. And again, like, I'm happy that they were women's tag team champions. Like, they bought into it, and I think they were ready for it. And that's part of where we're at now, is because they were ready to do. I think they both want to do some cool shit, and they probably have some cool ideas. And they're not asking to fucking main event the shows, I'm sure. They're just like, hey, can we like just do something
fun? They went on the pay-per-view.
Yeah. Like, can we defend the titles at all, ever? Can we have a fun match? You know, like, and it's not against the talent, but like, can we not wrestle the same people over and over again? Like WrestleMania, Hell in a Cell is going to be the third straight pay-per-view where we're going to see the same fucking matches. Seth and Cody, Omos and Bobby Lashley, the Uso, we're getting the same shit. Like, some wrestlers care about that. And Sasha and Naomi,
As you should,
they're
by
not
the
even
way.
getting used.
No.
They're not even getting used, let alone when they do, it's the same shit.
It's a whole situation, and I just don't understand. I just don't understand a lot of it because it's so messy, and it's only going to get messier, and it's only going to get worse, and it's just going to be like, I just want Sasha and Naomi to say something, to be completely honest, but also it's well within their right to say nothing. But also WWE slandering them, and that will only make it
WWE's
worse.
it's a very emotional, petty reaction in all forms. What they had what the lines they were feeding.
I believe he said something. It was
unprofessional.
Unprofessional.
They used the word. They used another fancy word, like similarly,
something like that. And they said they
like
walked out of Raw. So our main event has been changed. Also, why did Doudrop and Nikki just get taken? Why not just have it a fatal 4-way? That's
you could have just had a fatal 4-way.
But also, like, I don't see why they should have to also suffer of consequences out of their hands. Like, I don't think that was fair. The line that really shook me of anything with WWE is just that they tried to pin it as they didn't want to work with two of those people. And we all know for a fact that those four right there, Becky, Asuka, Doudrop, and Nikki, have always been talked highly of by everybody. I'm not talking about like a personal standpoint. I'm talking about from an in-ring standpoint. You could argue that they're four of the very best. So I don't understand why Sasha Banks, who is a wrestler, by the way, a wrestler's wrestler, would not want to work with any of those women. And she's worked with all of those women before and had great matches with them. And Naomi, who's never said anything about anything. She's never had a bad word to say about anybody.
No.
She's always, if you've ever watched an interview with Naomi outside of WWE, she's so polite, so humble, so gracious, and has always said, I just want to be used. I'm not having a problem whether I'm the champion or not. I just want to be in stories. Like, it's pretty sad that Naomi's biggest story that she's ever had happened at the end of last year, and she's been there since 2010.
Yeah.
Naomi's been in the company.
She was champion.
And she didn't get the respect. They didn't even release that Glow fucking title that could have made them so much money.
Millions of dollars. And they made them hundreds of thousands of dollars.
And they didn't do anything with that.
No.
She's been there. She got signed by WWE in 2009. She's been there for 13 years. 13 years. That is longer. That is 2 times as long as The Rock was actively wrestling.
Stone Cold 3 times probably. Like Stone Cold was only an active wrestler for half of that probably.
That is ridiculous that they don't treat that. There's only a couple of women in WWE that have had longer runs, and one of them is Natty, and one of them is Tamina.
And what's the respect that they get? Tamina just got divorced this week. That's what she's doing.
Yeah,
it was funny. Don't get me wrong. Like I kind of like that stuff.
Yeah, so
she's doing great. But like, you know what I'm saying?
It's not
those
respectable.
Those are your 3 most.
Like Natalia is a pawn.
She's in NXT. Yeah, she's in NXT.
She's just a pawn for somebody to beat, and that's really, really bad when you have people like that aren't. That's an underlying problem with a lot of things in WWE that we won't even tackle. But it is a mess of a situation that could have easily been avoided. And again, I'm not saying that Sasha and Naomi did everything completely right because we don't know everything. But at the end of the day, I look at that and I go, they're just voicing everything that everybody is saying about this company. And to a casual viewer or to a kid, they've now lost 2 of their biggest female, like, little girl demographics right there in Sasha Banks and Naomi. I don't think people realize, okay, Sasha's one thing, and wrestling fans love Sasha. Wrestling fans love Naomi too, but little black girls right now have just lost their 2 biggest, maybe with the exception of Bianca.
Yeah, Bianca, yeah.
They've lost colors and everything like that with Naomi. She's light up, she's glow. It doesn't give a shit what Naomi does in the ring.
One of the
little girls would go.
Yeah.
Even little boys would look at that and go, colors and fun and dance music. That to me, this is what pissed me off with WWE and the handling of Naomi. That is a silver platter of money. And you don't utilize that ever.
Mm-hmm.
Naomi has never, in her entire time, been the featured talent in any capacity. Ever. And that's a fucking shame. Because businessly, I just see dollar signs because it's so easy. You don't have to do any work with that. Just let Naomi dance, let Naomi wear glowy colors, and let Naomi hit people in the face with her fucking ass. That's all you have to do. And I'm not trying to be funny, but that's all you have to do. It's so easy. It's just so simple. She doesn't... And then you got Sasha, who also, little black girls would look at her and go, I can do that when I'm older. She's colorful with her. She has all these colored wigs and everything like that. Hair, You can sell those cheap fucking plastic ass, disgusting little wigs, and people will eat that up.
You can sell the sunglasses. You can sell the boss,
the rings,
the rings, the necklace, which she used to do.
Her music.
Snoop Dogg sings her theme song. Like, how many special entrances have we seen her have at big shows?
We've seen, and that's the thing. On the flip side of them not capitalizing on Naomi, to a degree, they have capitalized on Sasha, but also now they're just going, well, fuck you. Doesn't fucking matter. You're a stupid idiot. We're the people that control you. You don't control us. Until about 2 months ago, WWE talent weren't even allowed to have a fucking Twitch channel.
Yep.
Tell me how that makes any fucking sense. Oh, because you're using our name to make money. But they're indirectly getting more. Oh my God, I love this person playing this game. What do? They're a professional wrestler in WWE. Let me watch Raw.
Yep.
How can people in that company not see that?
Because all they see is, they're making money and we're not getting a cut of it.
$100 on Twitch.
Yeah, that's all they see. Oh, they're making money and we're not getting a cut of it. No, that ain't cool. That's That's all they say. They don't give a fuck about that.
They just want to own everything about not these talent, these human beings. They're not allowed to be human beings. They're just always on. That is not a job. When I leave my job, I am not accountable to that company anymore. When I'm not there. When I'm there, sure. But when I'm not there, I don't have to do anything that you say. And that's the same, by the way, just like you and me, JPJ, they're also independent contractors. We're employees, yes, but we don't sign a contract that says you own me.
Nope.
And I just don't understand how WWE can. I think this is a very big flag.
We can do a whole
but I'll just tie it up in a bubble that WWE and wrestling in general everything should just have a fucking union.
Have you seen the John Oliver piece?
Yeah.
Okay. If anybody hasn't, if you're listening or watching this, if you haven't seen,
I would
YouTube.
It's on
John Oliver, WWE. It's like a 20-minute segment. Yeah. This has nothing to do with the Sasha Naomi segment, but did you see the Seth Rollins tweet that he put out? Because we're talking about how WWE wants to, own you or whatever. Where they Booker T looked like he was on the bump or some shit like that.
Booker T, when I hear those words, I'm like,
take what he says with a grain of salt. But he was asked who needs to win more, Cody or Seth, and Booker said, well, Cody had to break himself down and leave and come back, where Seth got this easy. Like, he was kind of brought up, whatever, like attributing him to like a WWE, performance center, whatever. So Seth
Road
quote tweeted it, and he said, "This narrative is false. I started wrestling at 18 years old in back rooms of bars and pole barns, at UAW halls, the occasional parking lot, lost money, broke bones, drove countless hours alone just to build a name that got erased the second I walked in the WWE door." Now, to me, I just find that funny that he released that tweet within hours of all this shit going on. I don't think they're two different things, but that seemed to me
that underlying
that
problem here.
Yes.
Because it goes around, but it does connect.
Yeah, because I think Seth Rollins is like.
And by the way, we just have to point out Seth Rollins is a constant WWE flag waver.
Oh my God, yeah.
As he should be to a certain degree.
As he should, yeah. It's where he works. Yeah, whatever. If that's how he feels, that's how he feels. But he is the constant. Hey, we're the best. We're the top dog. He is the flag bearer. Like he waves that flag very proudly, as he should, if that's how you feel.
And he's one of their top people. So,
yeah.
And he's saying this thing because WWE have this thing of like, oh, that's a great talent. Let's bring them in and change absolutely everything about them.
Yeah. And it makes no sense. Why shouldn't people know that Seth Rollins was a Ring of Honor champion?
Tyler Black.
Yeah. Why should, like, what does that hurt? Hey, he's Seth Rollins now. Whatever.
I get the owning name thing. I get it.
Yeah. Whatever. He's Seth Rollins in WWE world. Fine. But like,
and you can evolve and you can change, sure, but you're erasing us. And to them, he started when we first seen him on NXT.
Yeah. And to probably not probably, this is a fact, to the majority of the WWE audience, that's what they believe. Because that's how it's presented.
Told so many times on commentary. Jimmy Smith has said, not because of him, but because of that Cody Rhodes has been just gone for 6 years.
Correct. And side note, Kevin Owens.
Oh, he pointed that out.
But anyway, amazing. I'm so glad he pointed that out too. But yes, because, and I bet you he was fed that line or fed something like that, 100%. And when I heard that, because I heard it not like they referenced it last night, but when he first said it a few weeks back, I was like, I giggled. And I was like, so that's what they're going to do? He just took 6 years off?
Yeah, that's what happened. He's just been living under a rock for 6 years.
Everyone that's watching this show has no idea that he started another wrestling company that is your main competition.
That's right up your ass.
That never happened.
Things a lot better than
he took 6 years off. So, okay. You know what I mean? Like,
but that's not a Cody thing, by the way, everybody. That's not a Cody being like, tell them like that.
If Cody had his way, he'd be referencing AEW probably regularly.
Yeah,
because it doesn't fucking matter. He's not there anymore.
Yeah,
who gives a shit? People know he went there.
Like people,
it's so bizarre.
But let's just cycle back here because we'll tangent. Not in a nasty way. I just mean we'll wrap things up in a second because otherwise we'll be here for hours. But to cycle everything back, what we're saying is that the underlying issue is not, from who's going over. It's a creative standpoint of what you're booking in a week, what you're booking in 2 weeks, what you're booking in 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. WWE talent feel under the pressure of being owned. And I think there's a lot going on surrounding. There's some people talking about contract issues and stuff like that, that perhaps maybe Sasha and Naomi's contracts are up soon, which would be very interesting. If they are up soon and they can't come to agreement, they're going to get released and they have 90 days to just chill. Because again, we talked about, them doing other things and they probably, in my bet, would. But like I said before, wrestling companies are going to try and capitalize on. They have a lot of momentum. There's no one being talked about more right now than Sasha Banks and Naomi. And that's powerful, by the way. They can use that to their power. Whether that's discussions with WWE, whether that's just flat out saying, we don't want to work there anymore. And you know how WWE are. They'll make them sit out their contract or whatever it may be. But it's fun to speculate and all that. But at the end of the day, this is what I care about most. Sasha Banks and Naomi. I don't care what happens, whether it's, we can speculate on all these things, or they're released, or they're in the wrong, or they're in the right, or they're going to go to AEW, or they're going to go be movie. It doesn't matter to me. Whatever their happiness is, whether that's going back to Raw next week and going, we're fine, everything's cool, or whether that's leaving, or whether that's just sitting on the couch with their dogs, it doesn't matter. As long as those two talents are happy. Because I've always been under the philosophy, it's why I still watch WWE, of I support talent. I don't support companies. No matter what you think personally or professionally of any wrestling company, I don't support that company. I support the talent. And that's all I care about, is the wrestlers or the superstars or performers, whatever you want to call them. That's what matters most. So unless you're blatantly in the wrong, I will always support wrestlers.
Yeah. I live that way with everything. Like most scenarios, like you just said, unless you blatantly did something wrong that you deserved it, I'm usually going to stand with the workers. I'm usually going to stand with the workers than the big guys up at the top.
I stood with Punk in 2014. I was young when Austin did his, but I certainly realized why he did it.
Yeah.
I stood
Cody
with Cody
asking for his release.
I stood
Luke Harper when they had him on the shelf. Ali, who just came back, was on the shelf. Ali, this happened last year with Ali. It was the same thing. Again,
probably different.
This has been happening for 20 years. And again, like we talked about it, it's a bigger issue than just this incident. This is just a very big deal. What happened last night?
I stood with Jeff Hardy when he walked out on WWE and last 100%. Year. Tony Storm, whatever their happiness is, I don't care. And that could just mean them just showing back up on SmackDown. Gail, oh my God, Gail.
She went and created a whole women's division in Impact TNA and became one of the greatest female wrestlers of all time.
The greatest TNA superstar of all time, or female. Well, arguably the greatest.
She's in the discussion. Yeah, she's up at the top of the discussion.
And all of these people, and I don't know. Again, I just stand with wrestlers unless they're blatantly in the wrong. And these two are not blatantly at all in the wrong, in my opinion. They're doing the right thing because they're trying to make WWE realize that they're fucked. They're just fucked in the creative aspect and a lot of business decisions as well. But this story is going to just keep on going and going and going for a few days, and we're not going to hear the end of it. But
not ideal.
Not great.
Not ideal.
Not great at all. No. So we're just going to wrap things up. Again, I know this was a bit of an informal episode and whatever it may be. I don't know why I just seen that I just opened my phone and I've got 20. Why have I got 20 notifications on Twitter? Good Lord.
That's pretty. It's a lot of notifications.
Why is everyone...
I must have liked the tweet you did, bud.
Oh, no, never mind. It's just... Oh, wait, hold on. God, there's a lot going on there. I have to look at that in a minute. Just people being, themselves. Yeah. So you know where to follow us. Usually this show will be every Thursday at 9 p.m. I know it says 9 p.m. on the graphic. Where, like I said, this is earlier. You're hearing this earlier just because of the situations that have occurred in this time. Unfolded. But you know where to find us at this point. We don't need to plug our socials. Catch us on everything that we catch on. All of our stuff's in the link in the description. Other than that, we'll be back at our regular time unless something else happens. Of 9 p.m. next Thursday. But yeah, until then, guys, we hope you keep up with the situation. I'm sure you won't avoid it. I'm sure there's no way to avoid it. You'll be having your opinions and your discussions and all of that. And yeah, you do you and all that. And we'll see you next Thursday at 9 p.m. right here. Goodbye, everyone.